Hello, sir. Welcome to another episode of Cyber Talk with InfosecTrain. And we are exploring the cutting edge intersection of technology and security today. I'm your host, Anas, and today we are going to explore a critical aspect of industrial cybersecurity that's becoming an increasingly vital for everyone to connect the entire world together. And not someone very different I have brought today. A very expert person is joining us today. Today, Zahar, all the way cross continental, he is joining with us to explain about OT and ICS cybersecurity. And he is an OT and ICS cybersecurity consultant as well, and a creator at LabShock, a hands-on cybersecurity platform for individual environments. His expertise spans operational technologies environment great enough, where technology and traditional IT security approaches often fall short when he explains about the things. And that's why we brought him here to just let him know about something great from him. Today we understand and discuss all about the OT SIEMs and security information events management. Usually this is a very common buzz in these days and specifically tailored for operation technology environments. As individually, we have observed many times that industrial systems have become more interconnected and digitalized, and challenges of monitoring and securing these environments have never been more complex than what we are actually advising ourselves as well as witnessing in day to day. Sir, welcome to the show. We are very excited to have a conversation with you. Over to you, share your view, words of help.
Yeah, hi Anas. Thanks a lot for inviting me to this podcast and talking to this, let's say, maybe hot, maybe hard, maybe complex problem. But yeah, we need to spread the word to all experts and to all newcomers to this industry. Yeah, thanks a lot.
That's that's very kind of you because you have always been very humble in explaining the complex topics to everywhere. Whatever context I have seen, the way you explain things, it becomes very amazing for learners to understand. And that is why we have brought you here, and we are very glad to have you today. And we wanted to keep it very conversational today, make it a very understanding for everybody. Okay. So the first thing would love to know from you was about the foundation context. Okay. The foundation things is more important for our viewers to understand about the OT. So to begin for people new in this era, okay, or specifically on this area as well, could you explain what exactly is operational technology, commonly known as OT, and how do you term like SCADA or ICS into this?
Yeah, so OT, it's as you said, is operational technology. So it's a little bit similar to IT, which many of us familiar with informational technology, but it is about processes, the things that are running inside our industries, in our oil, gas, manufacturing, whatever things that creating some processes and creating it's all about the machines which are running inside this, for example, manufacturing. Yes, and they are connecting with each other with a lot of sensors, actuators, valves, pumps, all these devices that must be controlled and must be working as a one system. And this is where OT built for. And OT is more wider than, for example, ICS, industrial control, where we are talking about these explicit tools which are running, for example, PLC, programming logical controller. And as a brain of all these systems is as a, let's say, some server which is running in IT. And he's controlling all this stuff. And the problem is that we need to protect all these things, especially when today, when we are trying to connect all these systems to the IT, the cloud, whatever, internet, and these connections, if we are adding to ICS, this is OT. So all this domain, all this infrastructure.
So I've heard about that you have created lab shocks because it's 90% of OT networks as well. You can test security live. What's happened when security teams can't practice their skills on real systems? Just for theories they have, there's the case studies they have heard about it. And with that, when they enter in society or when they enter in system, do you really think really plays a vital role that is more important to have such practical implementations and learning as well?
Uh, yeah, and the problem is like why I created it. The problem is that if you are not the teams are put behind, because if you don't understand what you are protecting, your protection will be unclear and uh, not as well as good as you, let's say, designed it or whatever. And additionally to that, if you don't test your systems, security systems, I mean, or some monitoring, for example, without testing, it's pretty much unclear is it working or not. And this is why I created LabShock, to test these systems and to teach the people what is OT and ICS and all these environments are. So this is why. And the problem is that OT systems and ICS systems are very, let's say, sensitive, critical, and you have no any chance to touch them on real life. And to create a testing environment, you need a lot of effort, energy, and of course money to recreate it. This is why LabShock is existing now.
Okay. Okay, let's put it into an imagination. We have seen a lot of places where this OT operational activities performs. Imagine a place like water power plant, okay, or a power plant. And in that power plant, we have multiple factory sections, like let's talk about water factory or a production line. What kind of equipment is talking to each other in these places that makes us watching them for security so complicated?
Yeah, and for example, in this water plant, you have the first thing you have a PLC, so some device that is controlling your process, that water is clear, water is under the pressure, and etc. And to control this device needs a lot of data from the sensors, from the some um, actuators or whatever to control all these process. And the problem is that these systems, all these devices need to talk with each other. All these machines sending some data, receiving some commands, or receiving some data. And this is how all these small pieces are talking with each other in this system.
Okay. If I say let's take it in a slight funny way, don't you think that it is more complicated to understand their conversations and communications, how they are transferring the informations and data with respect to IT communication, which can easily be tracked on a system?
For this, it's very, let's say, it's very different. In IT systems, in OT system, you can imagine the data flow is a highway with 3, 6, or 9 lines in one directions, and all the cars are going pretty fast and pretty forward. It's a lot of data. And in IT systems, yeah, email sent, web browser opening. So it's more or less not predictable, but it's not so huge volume of data that is transferring inside IT and OT.
Exactly.
And of course, the protocols which are using in OT, they are very different.
Okay, let's jump into technicalities of OT, and there are a few things which we would love to know from you because you're the right person to let us know about that. So first, start with when a machine like PLC, I mean, for our audience, PLC is like programmable logical controllers, is attacked in any circumstances. What digital clues does it leave behind, or what's the approach of first level of action to review these things? What are we looking when we are investigating such situations?
And yeah, and this is the main problem maybe, and the main thing that in principle and in common situations you don't have any good information about what was happened. And this is why in modern systems, you need implement security inside the PLC to have logs, at least, to investigate who was logged, what communication was done. But if you don't have this, you need real-time monitoring to have the vision, this PLC with which devices he's talking. Is it normal, not normal? What command received this PLC, and etc. So yeah, this is why it's very complex, because it's not a simple IT system with agent where you have all the information and you can create a baseline, create a line what happened last one day.
Okay, so what's your instance about the Modbus or DNP3, or we commonly also known as OPCUA? These are not just like usual internet languages that we usually see in many cases. How do you make sense to all these different industrial communication type? Because industrial communication is quite different with respect to the other communications just we discussed, because there's a very heavy traffic and heavy flow when these industrial conversations are happening there.
Yeah, and that's why you need to understand these protocols. If you have a water plant with Modbus, you need to know the Modbus, how it's working, what is inside, what is function code, at least at theory level. Of course, you need the practice and to understand, because when it's come to something bad or you need to do something, you need to know these protocols, what will be if something you will switch off something or whatever. And yeah, there are a lot of protocols. They are maybe the same, maybe a little bit different, or for example now OPCUA, what is modern protocol with some security things with encryption. Yeah, it's another story, and you need to know all the protocols which are you using.
With this very interesting question comes into my mind to just ask you that what inspires you to have a slight shift on more interest in OT and handling OT than anything else?
Switching to OT.
Yeah, what makes you inspired about to more related to OT?
Or maybe because after university, I spent 1 year living in, let's say, oil station and configuring the Siemens and doing all this automation engineering stuff. Maybe this is history or whatever. But yeah, it's also interesting, this field, more than simple IT stuff. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Because I asked this question because they have in different situations, and I wanted to know this from you because here is a different situation. Your security system or SIEM find an attack, but sending an alert might be stop an important process. And how do you find right balance between reacting fast and then keeping things running safely? Because it takes time to immediately understand issues like that.
Yeah, great questions. In OT, as you said, that safety and availability comes at the first. So you have no chance to stop any process, because it will be, of course, some money lose, and it also can harm the people. Yeah, we are talking about the critical processes that can harm the people, not only data breach with some money lose. And this is why this system must be passive, must be only monitoring, and some decisions must be made by people who understand the process. It's very, very different from IT. You cannot automatically to stop some pump, because it can be unpredictable behavior for that, and it's very dangerous.
Okay. There's another thing which really comes up into understanding, that is called practical challenges. Because when implementation starts, then these challenges starts coming to the places where we identify it. So in such scenarios, your task with installing OT SIEMs in a chemical plant, what's the first thing that you could do or you could go if a catastrophic situation comes up?
For the first thing, if you are not prepared, for example, and not really analyze the system, and you are trying to implement, it can
Okay.
break the systems. You are switching not at the right port. You are switching off the port, and this port will break all your protocols, and something will stop. Or you install some agent, and agent will reboot the system, which is cannot be rebooted. And yeah, this you must be very maybe slow, maybe very prepared for this, and it's too critical to have a fail. It's like sending a rocket to the space. You don't have, of course, it's more complex, but you don't have another chance that rocket it will not reboot it on the fly. So yeah.
Right. Okay, so Zara, you would be the right person to give us some real life examples of such situations. I mean, audience would love to know from you if any uh, unrealistic situation you have observed or found that something like that has happened back in time and back in past somewhere like that. Any story do you have to share with our viewers?
From my experience, yeah, we had this situation when, let's say, of course, it was not cyber, and many things are happening, not cyber, but you need to also to include this in the security, because it's reliability and safety. And yeah, we had the situation when Valve goes to opening mode when it was stopped manually.
Okay.
And at the night, there was rechecking the valves and open the valves. It was emergency and everything. We saw the engineer on the morning, and it was happening on the night. He was like, yeah, he said that it was the worst case in his life, like when you have a plant and he's going into another, let's say, another situation that you cannot do anything. And for this, you really need to think twice and implement something to check this, to protect. And imagine some bad guy sitting and opening the valve. So it is the same situation, and you cannot do anything because the system is blocked or the system is not responsible. So
Okay.
it's very,
Yeah.
very, let's say, not only situation, but the people, they are under the pressure, under the a lot of stress, and they cannot think about. This is why the trainings and learnings and also need to be done with people, not only the tools.
Sounds really interesting. I mean, it's very important because when it comes to practical implementation, it is very important to learn from all these incidents which happened across the globe. It happened in many time or we get reported because that's the way to learn what actually happened out there to implement when you are doing the similar task. Okay, that's one thing. But one more thing I have observed when you talk about the future in innovation and you'll be the right person to let us know about what plan of actions do you think will be in OT with respect to the future innovation. And when I talk about future and innovations, there's only one buzz running all around. I mean, you're also aware about that. That's AI, artificial intelligence, and how they are including in system and in everywhere. So, just a quick one liner answer would love to know from you that how would AI impact OT? What's your instance of that?
Yeah, the first thing that, yeah, it will be involved in the OT. So AI somehow will be used in OT to analyze the data, from example, yes, from the
Okay.
all these protocols and network and all this stuff. And then another question, how it will be integrated and how it will be used in these OT systems, because
Okay.
you are implementing OT for 20, 30 years, and the models are changing in 1 month. So how it will be, yeah, it's a big question, but yeah, it will be there, at least machine learning to understand the normal behaviors, for example, and it is used nowadays. but it must be, let's say, very not like, okay, we have a model, let's implement it in OT, and
Exactly.
everything will be perfect and secure. Now it is not right way.
I mean, do you still think that the manual intervention is needed in operational technology, just like other technologies are immediately making 100% automation with respect to AI?
In some places, yeah, when you have these repeatable tasks that you need a lot of people, or you have tasks that cannot be done now because you don't have resources, but it can be solved with AI. Yeah, of course, these things can be done. I think not
It's
so
15 hours.
harder.
Okay, got it. Nice. There's one recent friendship has started in the system these days, and we call the friendship of IT and OT. And networks are colliding very faster than they have ever been. Uh, an expert like you, what do you think? Is this convergence a security professional's dreams or a nightmare?
Let's say it's both. It's a dream because we have finally have visibility for this system. Here we can see maybe what is happening in your plan, make it more most not stable, more stable, more performance or whatever. You have a remote access. You can make a maintenance from another city or another country. This is a lot of boost and a lot of pros to this conversion. But the nightmare is, of course, for security. The problem is that when you have 10, 20 years ago air-gapped system, you install it, and that's all. You only need to control the people who is coming there. And
Right.
now every remote access can be exposed and exploited, and you have this problem. So it's nightmare for OT. And in this area, we don't have a lot of experts and a lot of vision how to make it secure. So this is second problem.
Zara, you mentioned a very interesting thing that brought a question in my mind about the remote access. Uh, do you think, as an expert, 100% control to remote access is a good practice for OT in futures, or still there is a lock-in key option wherein we check at last deploying anything?
You cannot be sure 100% that any system is secure. So, and remote connections are very critical. So you can connect, and you cannot say that it's I have a secure 100% remote access. No,
Okay.
this is very hard, and this is hard to achieve and hard to, for example, explain to people how to use this remote access. So yeah, it's another story, and yeah, this is the maybe not one of the worst things that we have in this OT-IT conversion, but it's a big question. Yeah.
Okay. So if I say, let's understand in the word of Sir, a war which has been a long time going on, firewall versus flow rates. So, do you have anything to see or say about this? Because the security team talks about firewall all the times, wherein the OD team talks about flow rates all the time, because that defines the amount of data has been driving. So, do you have anything to understand about these language barriers?
Yeah, and the maybe the translator or some person, it is you as a translator, you need to explain these words like firewalls or flow rates and be maybe between these, but you need to, and people need to work together to collaborate to exchange this knowledge, what is firewall, what is flow rates, hey, and you need to be very familiar, and this is the key that security and automation engineers and all the teams must speak in. maybe not the same language, but that they understand each other.
Okay. There, you being a very phenomenal consultant all the way across the globe, and people have been knowing you, your task and your performance. Because this really brings an idea of the level of uh, you can seriousness when it comes to a loss a company bears or an individual bears. So what's do you think is the most costly mistakes or you have seen companies or an individual trying to make when they are monitoring about these industrial systems or the fail to achieve that?
For maybe, yeah, here maybe repeat or
Okay,
something.
just wanted to understand that what's the most costly mistakes you have ever seen companies making when trying to
Yeah.
monitor these industrial systems?
The biggest and the first thing that people are thinking that some tool will solve this problem, like you are buying some monitoring tool or some SIEM tool and it will solve all the problem. Now
Okay.
it's a lot of problems before this, and in this case you need these conversions in teams that they are speaking in one language. You need the teams understand the processes and you are understanding what you are doing. And
Okay.
after that, you need first to teach the people, and after that, test these systems. And without testing, you are buying $1 million tool, install it, and it's not working, and you are saying the tool is bad. No, before this, you need to train and to test this, all your scenarios,
Okay.
all your measures, and after that, yeah. And this is doing all the many of, let's say, companies and all the
Hmm.
and doing this mistake.
Okay. Uh, let's say a very young fresher or someone who has not that much expertise in OT has shown an interest to come in this field. Uh, as an expert from your end, what advice would you transfer to the person who is looking for a future or a career in OT?
Uh, yeah, and here is maybe, let's say, the OT security. We have OT and security. So you can be an OT engineer or have a background with some engineering skills and you need to learn the security. This is one way. And another way, what I saw that the security, IT security guys, which know what is pen testing or whatever, and they want to jump into the OT, you need to learn the OT. It's hard to see that poor, for example, people are trying to reach the OT, but you need to learn a lot and start small and teach or to read, to to practice and to learn these systems. Yeah.
Okay, sounds interesting. Any type of, you can say, any certifications, any learnings, any courses you would love to recommend to anyone to upgrade themselves if they are landing in OT? Or any
For,
journal?
for yeah, for learning, for courses, you need to start with some open free materials. Check this one to have a picture, and after that you will see what is more interesting for you and go some specific courses. Going from the start, okay, I will go to the some expensive, let's say, certification and it will solve my problems. No, it's step by step, little by little, reading, checking the free ones. After that, go maybe in some direction.
Okay. So imagine if, let's say, a company calls you tomorrow, okay, and zero OT expert the experiences you have. I mean, let's say they call me having a zero OT security experiences. What's the first piece of advice would you give to that person, and what approach that person should follow to implement all the process?
From, let's say, OT SIEM and monitoring perspective, because I'm working in this field, yeah, the first thing, you don't need to rush and buy a tool, install this tool, and go see what is happening now. You need to first understand your environment, draw a maps, network maps. I mean the flows, the connections, and all this stuff. Involve the people, ask people, talk with engineers to understand their language. Yeah, to be familiar with your systems, and after that, small by small, step by step, to implement tools, and of course, before this, test these tools in some safe environments.
Okay. So, do you think anything else apart from you to brief in this OT short brief discussions we had today from your end? In any context, do you think about the revolutions we have actually observed in the field of OT in past few years?
Yeah, in the OT, in my vision, the OT for nowadays not ready for this pretty fast evolving and connecting to all these modern systems. And we need to be very careful and to learn systems, to understand the system, and not only to buy tools to protect. You need to have a mind, a design, architect, and to how to protect them, and not to rush and say that, okay, I will go and protect 30 years old system, it will be safe. No, you cannot do it. Better to go into the new system and make this system safe, and of course learn, and be familiar with security, all these secure connections, and to train people security, because operators, engineers, they are all new to this OT security. What is it? You also need to work a lot with people, and to understand that you cannot click and open attachments from the emails. Yes, this everyone knows today, but for operators, they don't know what to do with some alarm. What to do? I don't know. And yeah, maturity level is, let's say, we are only starting, and we need to build this from the level whatever zero. Yeah.
That's true. We'll make it very quick for you. We'll use some words. You just have to tell with respect to OT, the biggest with respect to that. So if I call threat, what do you think the biggest in this field of OT?
Threat?
Yeah. If I call threat, what's that one thing comes into your mind in the field of OT?
Tag. For tag, of course, it is some value from the PLC and SCADA, the language which these machines are transferring data.
Yeah. Biggest challenges?
Biggest challenges to monitor these systems.
Okay. Okay. Apart from this, one word of learning we will do transfer.
For learning.
Yeah, that one thing you should always do with OT.
With testing.
Okay, testing. Yeah, that's nice. And that one mistake you see generally people do, but they should avoid.
Maybe to rush with some tools or some technologies.
Okay. Correct. Yeah. Okay. That's all from mine, sir. And I'm very happy that you come up for us in a very short, brief time and let us know about some basics about the OT and the rare relations in with respect to IT and the small implementations. And this has been an absolute fascinating for me to have a cross-border insights with you, and your insights into OT or SIEMs has given a unique challenges of monitoring operation technologies environment. Because it's pretty of the last thing that you have given three keywords I will take down from here, that keep on testing, don't rush on implementations, and before clicking any such informations which is not relevant to you, review that. So it's a good thing for you and for other as well. And the intersection between operation technology and cybersecurity is the only becoming the more critical with time, as you mentioned, with AI lands up, and industrial infrastructure will also become more connected to each other. So that's a very amazing discussion with you that you have brought for all of us and for our viewers. Sir, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us today. One last piece of advice would you love to give our viewers and listeners across the globe? Because with globe, the learning keeps on changing because of the limitation and the restrictions we have in our country and the regions. So, one piece of advice from your end, and then we can just wrap it up.
Yeah, advice is keep learning and keep our OT system secure and from all these fields, from safety, whatever, cyber to have zero incidents and zero
Okay.
stops and zero harm to all of us, because it is all connecting to us.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay, thank you for all joining us today. If you found this episode valuable, please share with your guys, share it with your peer-to-peer people, and try to learn more about OT. Because OT is just not a technology, or you can say a word. It's more than something which is interconnected with our day-to-day life, and it's very much important to understand its implementations and its importance. Happy day to all of you. Till then, stay safe, stay secure.